Hey, I'm Will with Cardboard Minute, and I'm going to show you today a little game called Snowblind, A Race for the Pole. Now, this is an older game, probably impossible to find at this point, but it was one of my very first Kickstarters that I ever backed, and I think it still has some of the most unique push your luck mechanics and dice drafting mechanics that I've yet to see in a game. And if you have seen these mechanics replicated elsewhere, please let me know because I love them and I want to see more of it. This was designed by Simon McGregor and published by Pleasant Games. Now they're a smaller game company that, as far as I know, don't do very many games, but the games they do are quirky and interesting and have a striking visual style. I believe their most recent one was Deadeye, which you actually recommend to use 3D glasses to play the game with. This game, however, is based on Antarctic expeditions and how different explorers from different countries were essentially racing to put teams together to be the first to reach the South Pole. And this was a very dangerous endeavor, and many of them didn't, in fact, lose their life. And in fact, the game does come with a small booklet of pictures from Shackleton's endurance expedition, which, by the way, Shackleton in his endurance ship is who I will be playing today. And I do recommend that you look up his memoirs, which have been published as a book. I believe it's called Endurance or Shackleton or something. But the adventure that he went through and how his ship got crushed by the ice and they managed to survive in the Antarctic for a couple of years and make it back to safety and call for help on a lifeboat. It's just amazing example of human perseverance and ingenuity, and I highly recommend you look into that story. So anyways, I will show you guys how to play. I'll do my solo playthrough of the game, and then I'll give you my review afterwards. All right, so here we have on the main board, you can picture this as the board being split into 4 different lanes, each numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 6 being the South Pole. Based on whether you're playing the standard version of the game or the epic version or the solo, the starting locations of different items and workers or explorers will be slightly different. So do check the rulebook for the setup. I have it currently set up for the solo, but it may look a little bit differently depending on what you're playing as. Each player will have their own lane that they are racing up against. This is essentially a racing game, and the object is to get to the pole and then get back to the ship first and with as much intact people and food as possible, but also you need to get out before either dying from exposure or reaching the pack ice. So there is a deck of weather cards here, and the final card, or if you're playing other versions of the game, it'll be shuffled into a kind of randomized last couple of cards in the game. This is when the ice closes in around the Antarctic and it becomes impossible to escape. There is also included a memorial card, so if your captain dies and you are removed from the game, you can kind of hang on to this card, for a couple minutes just to show that you've died. There is player elimination, but generally, if you take your time and plan, you will not be eliminated. And at the rare case you do, it'll usually be closer to the end of the game. So, how a turn works is first player will have the compass marker, and you will, in turn order, be taking a die from the action selection board, doing the action, and then rolling all the dice. And this is where the push your luck mechanic comes in, and you'll be comparing the exposure and then continuing the next player. And you'll keep going around the circle, always rolling all the dice that you have accumulated each time you take an action until you decide to pass. Then, once all players have passed, we'll reveal the next weather card, inflicting that much exposure upon the furthest reached explorers, and then we'll continue the next round. If the pack ice card is revealed, that triggers the end of the game, and players will have one more final round before the game is over. Now, so how does this look? All right, so first we have a little scoring card, which I'll cover a little bit more detail. You'll get points based on how many tents you have put out, how much food you have left over, how many humans you have had return to your ship, whether you've done any scientific research or not. You'll have bonus points for being the first to reach the pole, which is this little gold medal. And you'll have points based on how far you were able to plant your flag. So the different actions we have in the red area is associated with the red figure, and that is your captain. He must stay alive or you will lose the game. So be aware of that. We have different strengths of the actions. We'll have larger dice, or dice with more sides on them, meaning they're also riskier for the press your luck portion of the game. So first we have move the captain, and he can carry 3 bits of food with him. Or the riskier action is he carries an additional food along with him. We have this funny green cube, which counts as a die. You do have to take it, but there is no sides on it. Essentially, that means that it is totally safe. And you either move one scientist or one explorer carrying 1 piece of food. Then we have going hunting, which you can acquire 2 pieces of wild food, which wild food, by the way, can never be moved. Only crates can be moved. I will show that you do have a certain amount of crates set up, and the barrels just count as 3 crates. They're just a way to make the board a little less cluttered. So feel free to change those out as needed. Then we have scientists, carry 3. And by the way, this is always involved with a single move whenever you see the person there. Or a scientist carries 3 food and takes a research token. Now, research tokens are all worth 1 point in the game, and they do have a fun bit of, picture on the bottom to show kind of what type of research that they are doing. But really, they're just a token that shows that you've gained a point. Then we have the sailors. Sailors move carrying 3, or they move carrying 3, but then spends a food crate to gain 2 wild food. Whenever you spend food to either in things like this or to keep your guys alive, that food is removed from the board, and so you do have a set amount of resources essentially that's available to you. Lastly, we have these gray dice. There's a bunch of them available, and you can either move a worker and then roll all your dice, and then move the same worker again and then roll all of your dice again. So it is very risky to move twice, but this is a race, so that is a strong action. Or we have move any worker with 2 food. And here we have build a tent. Now, why would you want to build a tent and carry food with you? So whenever you roll all of your dice after taking an action, right? Remember, you roll everything available to you. You look at the numbers that are rolled, and you apply exposure to the region that you ended your action in. Or in the case of the weather card, you apply the number to the furthest reach region. And there's a handy reference sheet here that shows how that works. So if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, remember you're evaluating this for each dice you have. If you are alone or with a buddy or in a tent, you are safe. If you roll a 4 and you're alone, you're exposed. And if you're with a buddy, you're safe. If you're in a tent, you're safe. Roll a 5. You alone or with a buddy is not safe. With a tent is safe. And if you roll a 6 or higher, it doesn't matter what your situation is, you will be facing exposure. Now, to deal with exposure, again, you resolve this for each die that is rolled. You either have to consume a food, or if you have no food left, which, by the way, you always have to consume food first. If you have no food left, then your explorer is exhausted first. And then if you still have no food and they're exhausted, you will lose that explorer. They will die. If it is your captain, you are out of the game. Now, if your captain is exposed, or if any worker really is exposed and is exhausted, they will no longer count towards keeping a buddy warm in terms of the dice rolling. So do watch out for that. He's also not considered active for the weather card. As soon as you bring a food to his location, he will immediately consume a food and get back up again and recover. So that is important to know. And like I said, you will continue to the pole. If you take the tent building action, the tent will stay in whatever location you build it on. There has to be a worker there in order to build the tent, but the tent does provide cover, so sort of a waypoint. So you do want to plan those out carefully in order to survive safely. Now the solar rolls are a little bit different. You have a little bit less time to roll. You do have essentially the full selection of actions available. However, the green and the kind of pinky purple cube dice here are removed. So you do not have access to those, as well as we're a couple of worker shorts. So it's a little bit more dangerous. And also, you can only ever build one tent during the game. So it is especially dangerous. Now your ship does count as a tent, so it is not such a huge deal. As you push your captain forward, your flag will move with it and will show how far the furthest point that you have achieved. Then, at the end of the game, add up your points, and the person with the highest score is the winner. So let us begin a solo game. I am all set up here. I've got my 6 event cards randomly selected, but they do give you a set of numbers that you have to choose from a larger deck. Unfortunately, that means removing some of the easier numbers are not there. Normally, you would have a bit of a randomized setup for how your exposure would show up in terms of the weather. So we will begin, and I think first we're going to have to support the captain a little bit, because otherwise he's going to die. If I just move with him, he's just going to consume food. And sure, I might be able to get pretty far with him alone, but that's not great. Oh, you know what? That action is with a bonus explorer, so I can move 2 explorers carrying extra food. I think I'm going to try to make some food while I can. So I'm going to take one of these blue sailors, and I'm going to bring him up here with 3 food, and just take the basic action. So then we'll roll. It's a 3. So I am still safe, and I have 2 workers there. Now let's maybe bring up a scientist as well. I don't want to bring up too much at once, because otherwise I'm going to have a hard time getting them all back to home afterwards. All right, so I have a 1 and a 6, so that's 1 exposure, 1 food consumed. Now let's try pushing ahead a little bit. I think let's take the sailor, and he's going to move up with 3, and then he's going to change one of them into 2 meats. So I'm assuming this is a seal meat or penguin meat or whatever have you. Roll the dice. Oh, 3 exposure. That is not good. There goes most of his efforts are gone. Not good. Not good at all. And maybe I'll take that last. Big captain, move up both these explorers and 4 things of food. But I am rolling all the dice. And not too bad. I have so the 4 is fine because I am with a buddy, but a 7 does cause 1 exposure. So that food is gone. I am already dwindling through my food pretty quickly here. But I think, any more dice than this, and it is getting pretty risky. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Let's reveal the weather card. And oh, it's a 6. So that is 1 exposure, 1 food gone. Ouch. Okay, next round, we'll refill a little bit here. And yeah, I'd love to get ahead if I can. Yeah, you know what? Maybe taking that right from the beginning. Sure, let's move my sailor up here with 3 food. Oops. There's a 3, he's fine. And I think he's going to support the rest of his team. He's going to move up again, carry 3 food, but then change 1 into some seal meat. So I'm rolling the 2 dice now. A 1 and an 8. So let's always get the seal meat first because the seal meat cannot be transported. So that is potentially important. And I would like to push ahead once more before I try making a tent or something. So let's take the big captain die. Let's move up a captain and a sailor with 4 food cubes. Don't have a lot here. And yeah, that's 6 and a 5. That's 2 exposures. Not too great here. And do I want to start going back? I may have to go back to get some food, but it is pretty risky right now. Even though I've only taken 3 dice. Maybe I should build a tent. Yeah, it's going to be risky, but a tent halfway here I think is probably a good spot for it. I'm going to have to take one of these gray dice, and I really hope I don't roll a lot of high numbers. Oh, a 6 and an 8. Okay, so they eat all their food. That's all that's left. But I am through, and I think I'm going to stop there. That's probably enough, because now I'm going to have to backtrack and get more food. That's not a good place to be. All right, the card. Oh, there's a 6. Oh no, I forgot. The farthest place gets exposed. So I have 1 explorer, 1 sailor who's out of commission. Okay, let's go back to town here. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to move my blue sailor back here. I'm going to do a double move with him to get back faster. Oh, it's an 8. Ouch. Okay, eat a food. Move him again. Roll again. A 5. He's on his ship, so he's fine. If you're going to take these double move actions, probably better to do that earlier in the game. And now I'm going to have him carry 3 food. He'll just carry a barrel with him. 4 and a 4. Oh, he's got no buddies with him. So let's change for 1. Not good, not good. I am sadly gonna die here. I'm gonna die in the cold. I don't want to risk exposing my captor again. I gotta get him food somehow. Now I could bring the scientists up with some food, but then if I roll more high numbers, it's just gonna expose more people. So I think I'm gonna have to go back to the ship again. You know what? I think I'll do. Oh yeah, the green cube's not available. That would have been great for this. Let's go. Yep, I'm just gonna have to move him back. And roll, and he's in the ship, but there's still an 8. So there's 1 piece of food gone. And now, can I try bringing him back with more food? Yeah, I'm gonna have to try. So he's gonna carry 3 food, but he's gonna consume 1 and go hunting for some seal meat. And 4 and an 8. Okay, that's not too bad. He's consumed 2 food. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Exposure card. Oh, there's a 3. Whew. Yeah, that could have been bad. If my captain got knocked out as well. You would knock out the captain last, and then the captain would die last. And for as much points as possible, I need to get people back to the boat as well. So now that I'm back here, let's just start bringing some food. So move him up with the crate. It's a 3, that's fine. And I'm gonna move him again with the crates and change that into 2 food and 2 fish or whatever. He's gonna feed a fish to his buddy and help him get back on his feet. And roll a 4 and a 5. I am safe because I'm in my nice, cozy, warm tent. That is good. Should I bring up my explorer too? I mean, my scientist. He can bring some food with me because I feel like I might have to just make a run for it with my captain. I am very much losing food quickly. Okay, I still have a few rounds left. Okay, let's play it safe. I've only rolled twice so far. But I think I pushed it too hard earlier in the game, and now I have next to nothing left. Because I do have to get these guys home later too. So as painful as it is, I think I'm going to stop here. Let's flip a card. It is a 2. Okay, this is not great, which means we're going to get some higher numbers later. Okay, so next round. I think it's time to move the captain, I think. I can convert some seal meat, but that's a bigger die roll. Let's just take the captain. He's going by himself. Let's see how lucky I get here. He's moving. It's a 1. He's fine. Okay, let's try it. He's gonna move. Oh, he can't carry food that way. That is not ideal. Okay, 2 reds. Moving. An 8 and a 4. Oh no. Okay, he eats all his food. This is not a good sign. I have, however, pushed my flag all the way to the pole. But if I lose him here, and I will surely lose him from inclement weather soon. I'm gonna have to bring out my scientist and hope those guys do okay. 3, 2, and a 6. That one's gone. Oh my gosh. Never gonna make it. I should have brought more food with me. Yeah, it's funny. I always do so terribly when I'm recording videos. All my solo games are like just awful. Okay, let's see. If I stop here, I'm probably going to draw a bad card from the weather deck, and his captain is going to be exposed, and I'm never going to be able to get enough food back to him. It's going to be the end. So I have to be lucky enough to get someone to him and roll. It's all going to depend on this one die roll. This is going to be it. 3 exposures. Food, down, and dead. That's not good. Oh, well, I think I've lost this. Okay, let's put these guys back. And the weather is a 4, so my captain is unconscious. That's not good. Okay, let's try going back to the ship. We're going to do a double move of my blue guy. So move, roll, yeah, it's a 5. And move, roll, it's an 8. Yep, this is terrible. And then he's going to move to the ship. Roll, he's fine, and then he's going to carry 3 food. Turn one of them into some seal meat. He's going hunting, and he eats 3 of them. That's not good. That's not good. I think I've lost this. Oh, no, you know what? The weather only applies to the furthest active unit. So, but I'm never going to escape with my captain in time. Oh, boy. Because I only have 6 rounds for solo. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the round after this one. Okay. Well, you know what? I have, yeah, I can move them this way. Oh, it's gonna be super lucky. Super lucky. Nope. Not in the slightest. And he's down. And I think that might be it for me, because the next weather is a 5. It only affects my furthest active guy. He's fine, but I have no food left in the Arctic. That is it. So, all right, and one last desperate struggle to get back to the boat. He's gonna move, roll, and he's gone. They all die of exposure. I'm sorry, Shackleton. That did not turn out how I was hoping. So, all right, let's head back up and I'll give you my review of the game. That's how it's been happening so far. Welcome to Cardboard Minute, the game where Will loses horribly in all his playthroughs so far. So, anyways, on to the review. As you can see, the push to luck mechanic is very interesting. This whole concept of, it's almost like a reverse action selection or reverse worker placement. But I absolutely love this concept of, if you want a better action, you take a more dangerous die and then you roll all of your dice. And there is ways to mitigate it, like moving food with you and having a tent to prevent exposure. But you are your own demise, like the further you push your actions and the more actions you do and the stronger actions you do, the more dice you're rolling and the stronger dice you're rolling. And the more you are exposed to the weather and the cold and the freezing, and the more likely you are to die. And that whole mechanic of that pushing your luck with the action selection is just fantastic. It works really well multiplayer. The game is a little bit longer in terms of rounds because you are taking turns taking away those dice. So you may be forced to do more intense actions because someone took, the easy green die that has no real point to it, but it's just there to show that you've taken that action. It is totally safe, but are you racing to? Are you going to be the first to the pole? Are you going to win the race by only moving one space? Maybe not. I think the theme really fits the mechanics with the pushing and risking exposure, and how, the more time you spend, outside in the cold and inclement weather and longer, harder days, the more you risk exhaustion and freezing. The fact that you're racing for the pole, there were multiple, there were teams from different countries, not necessarily the exact same time, but occasionally with some overlap, all racing towards the pole to be the first to reach the pole. And that was a real historical point in history that, I think is captured well in this game. The idea of limited resources, of trying to get out before the ice closes in around your ship. You have like a limited amount of time. I mean, even today in the Antarctic, they can only bring in a ship of supplies, during a span of a couple months in the summer. Otherwise, they can't get in. There's just too much ice. It's too dangerous. So I think that works really well too. The game does typically have like a fairly clear leader by 3/4 of the way through, which can be a little bit defeating if your opponent has practically gone back with their ship and already hit the pole and gotten the bonus point thing for getting the farthest. It can be a little bit defeating. You can still edge out a win if you do it more efficiently and you get, have conserved more food and saved more people than they have, as well as more research tokens. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the first person to the pole and back is the winner, but generally it's an indicator that you're not doing so well. The components are great. The cubes can be a little much, like when there are 20 cubes per player in each of the lanes all moving around, the board can get very messy. And I don't know if there'd be a better way to show that. Maybe, I don't know, put them in little sleds or something, or something. I don't know. Either way, I don't know if you could do better because you have to show where the food goes, but it works. The components are great. The dice, the custom dice with the font that matches the cards and stuff is just fantastic. Cubes and stuff are all good quality. The meeples, the tents. The artwork is gorgeous. I love the art in some of these cards and things, and on the board is very visually striking on the box cover. It looks great. And the playtime is not that long. It is a fairly light game. There's not a ton going on, but there are some interesting decisions, and it is pretty unique as far as pushing your luck or risking to get ahead. And I do typically like games like that, like Diamant or Port Royal, where you're trying to do more on your turn or get farther than everybody else, but at a greater risk. I think those mechanics are fun, and this puts it into a neat kind of race mechanic too. So unfortunately, this game has been long since out of print. If you ever see it lying around, for sale or in a consignment store or something, do take a look. Check out Pleasant Games' other stuff. I haven't played any of their other games, but I've seen lots of good opinions on them. And I hope you enjoyed my terrible playthrough. Welcome to, Will Loses Games, the Cardboard Minutes channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.